Hi Year 6, Mr. A with Maths again, and today we're going to take the next step on from adding and subtracting fractions. We're going to look at multiplying fractions. It's a slightly different process to adding and subtracting, but what we will be doing is we'll be taking a step at a time. I'm going to start off by multiplying a fraction by a whole number. Okay, so what's today's success criteria for this lesson? We want to be able to multiply a fraction by a whole number. We want to represent our answers in either a simplified form or a mixed number where appropriate. Don't forget, we can always simplify a mixed number if need be. So today's target is going to be, I can multiply a fraction by a whole number. Let's get started. Okay guys, what I want to do is keep addition and subtraction of fractions fresh in your brains. So a quick starter. Few more questions than normal, usually do 4 or 5, but I'll put out 8 in this time because these aren't that complicated and we have done them over the last few days, so we should be okay with them. Right, pause the video now and have a go at them for me. Don't forget to simplify if you need to. Okay then, let's have a look at some answers. Like I say, nothing overly complicated, it's just remembering the process, because if you can do it, if you know the process, you can solve any addition and subtraction of fractions, no problem at all. Right, so what we need to do, we've got an addition first of all, and we need to decide a common denominator for them both. Well, 3. 6 is a multiple of 3, so we can stick with 6's. What have we done to that 3 to make 6? We've multiplied it by 2, so we're going to do the same to the top. The other ones we're leaving the same, so 1 2 is 2 and 1 6 is 6, so we're dealing with 6. 2 and 1 is 3. 3 6, we can simplify that guys, because I'm looking 3 and 6, we've already talked about 3 and 6 being in the same times table. Common factor between 3 and 6, it's 3. 3 goes into 3 once and 3 goes into 6 twice, so your answer is a half. Alright, hopefully you remember to simplify it. But if you did get as far as 3 6, well done. It's just the simplifying that you forgot to do. Right, number 2, 6 eighths and 1/2. Well, this time you have to look carefully because we're subtracting. Who added? Be honest, put your hand up. Thought there'd be somebody. Right, we can look at the eighths and the halves. Well, 2 is a factor of 8, so we're going to stick with eighths. And what did we do to that 2? Oops, thought I'd selected red then. What did we do to that 2 to make 8? We multiplied it by 4, so we've got to do the same to the top. And that 6 eighths we can leave. We've multiplied the 2 by 4, sorry, to get 8. So 1 4 is 4. So now we can do, don't forget we're doing subtraction. 6 subtract 4 is 2. The 8 stays the same. Can we simplify that? We can, can't we? 2, we're going to use 2 as a common factor between the 2. 2 goes into 2 once and 2 goes into 8 4 times. So 6 eighths subtract half, our answer would be a quarter. Right, let's have a look at question 3. We've got, where are we? If I've got the right pen. We're adding this time, so I'm just double checking my calculation. And 3 and 9, 3 is a factor of 9, so we're going to go for ninths, and we can put the 2 ninths in straight away, can't we? And what have we done to that 3 to get 9? We've multiplied it by 3, so we did the same to the top. 1 3 is 3. Now we can do the add-in. We're dealing with ninths. 3 and 2 is 5. 5 ninths. Can we simplify 5 ninths? No, we can't. Brilliant. Question 4. Double checking what calculation I've got to do here this time. It's a subtraction. So 2 is a factor of 6, so we're going to go with 6 in this case. We don't need to do anything to that one. What do we need to do to that half? Well, the 2, well, I'll put them in the wrong place. Let's get rid of that so I don't confuse you. There we go. Sorry about that. Right, what have we done to the 2 to make 6? We've multiplied it by 3, so we do the same to the top. That gives us 1 3 is 3. 3 6 take away 1 6, well 3 take away 1 is 2, and don't forget we're doing 6. We can simplify that because 2 is a factor of 6. 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. So our answer will be 1/3. Question 5. We've got 7/8 subtract a quarter, so I'm doing subtractions again. I like to write out what I'm doing before I look at the numbers because it reminds me that I'm doing a subtraction or I'm doing an addition. 4 is a factor of 8, so we're going to stick with 8s on this occasion. And what have I done? The 8s don't need to change, so we can keep putting the 7 in for a numerator. What have we done to that 4 to make 8? We've multiplied it by 2, so we did the same to the top. 1 2 is 2. 7 subtract 2 is 5, and we're dealing with 8s, aren't we? Can we simplify 5/8? There is no common factor between 5 and 8, so it stays at 5/8. Question 6. Right, we are going to do an addition this time. See how by putting it in, it reminds me, it's just a bit of forward planning really. 5 is a factor of 10, so we're going to go with tenths. What have we done to the 5 to get 10? We've multiplied by 2, so we do the same to the top. 2 2s are 4, and the 3 stays the same. We're dealing with tenths. 4 of 3 is 7. 7/10. Can we simplify 7/10? We cannot, so that stays as it is. Question 7, 3/5 and 1/10. Well, we've just done fifths and tenths, haven't we? So what we're going to do is we're going to stick with tenths again, but this time we're subtracting. Right, like I say, by putting it in first, it will remind me when I come to do it. So what have we done? It's the 5 we've multiplied by 2, so we must do the same to the top. 2 3s are 6, and the 1/10 stays the same, so I can do 6 take away 1 is 5. Well, 5 is a factor of 10, so 5/10, 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 10 twice. So our answer for question 7 is a half. Final question, guys. Hopefully you're doing okay with this so far. We're doing an addition, so I'm going to put that in so there's no confusion. 3 is a factor of 12, so we're going to stick with twelfths. That doesn't change. What have we done to the 3 to make 12? We've multiplied it by 4, so we've got to do the same to the top. 1 4 is 4. Now we can do 4, add 5 is 9. 9/12. Well, we can simplify that because I know there's a common factor between 9 and 12. What is it? That's it, it's 3. So how many times does 3 go into 9? 3 times. How many times does 3 go into 12? 4 times. So you should have an answer of 3/4 for that one. And there you go, that's your starter over. I told you I don't want you to forget how to do addition and subtraction of fractions. Okay, moving on then. So if we are looking at multiplying a fraction by a whole number, how do we do this? I said to you earlier that it was a little bit different to the process that we've done before with addition and subtraction. Don't forget we're multiplying them. So if we had a question such as 1/3 and we wanted to multiply that by 5, now that's 5 whole ones. Yeah. What we need to do is we need to turn that 5 into a fraction. Now if I did 5/1, if I wanted to turn that improper fraction into a mixed number, I'd say how many ones go into 5? Well, it's 5, isn't it? 5 lots of 1 is 5. So can you see how that works? That's important to understand that 5/1 is 5 whole ones, because 1 goes into 5 times. Right, let's just backtrack on that a minute then. So as long as we understand that, that's great. Because now what we're doing, now we've converted the whole number to a fraction, we can then work it out. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 multiplied by 5 and 3 multiplied by 1. 1 5 is 5 and 3 1s are 3. So we end up with 5/3. Now we know that we're not going to leave it as an improper fraction. We're going to turn it into a mixed number. How many times does 3 go into 5? It's once, isn't it? And what have we got left over? The difference between 3 and 5 is 2, and we're dealing with thirds. So 5 lots of a third is 1 2/3. Alright? If I had, let me explain that with some pictures if I can. If I had a pizza, because we all love dealing with pizzas when we do fractions. Okay, there's a couple of pizzas divided into thirds. Now if I had, let's go with green for garlic, 5, the question says 1/3 times by 5, so there's a third. 1, 2, how many are shading in? 5 of them. 3, 4, 5. So if we look at this now, there's our 1 and there's our 2/3. So now what we've done is we've shown using a picture how 1/3 times 5 is the same as 1 2/3. Hope that made sense. If it doesn't, pause it and listen to it again. Okay, I feel the need to explain again. It's all good practice. So this time what I think we'll do is we'll have, instead of having one part of something, let's have more. Let's have 3/4 and let's multiply 3/4 by 3. Right. First of all, so that we've got a picture to relate it to, I'm going to draw some shapes. And one's managed to disappear. Clever. Not done that before. Okay. Should do some quarters. There we go. My pizzas. Now the first thing we need to do is we need to turn that 3 whole ones into a fraction. And can you remember on the last slide I told you if we do it 3/1, how many times does 1 go into 3? 3 times, isn't it? So 1 is a whole, and we've got 3 of them here, so that's where our 3 comes from. Right. Okay, so now we've worked out what our 3 whole ones are as a fraction. We can now multiply it by our 3/4. And can you remember, I said what you do is you multiply the top and you multiply the bottom by each other. That's a dodgy arrow. Yeah? So we'll end up with 3 3s are 9 and 4 1s are 4. Now that's fine. We've got 9 fourths, but it's an improper fraction. How many times does 4 go into 9? Twice, because 2 4s are 8. And then what have we got left over? We've got 1, so that'll be 1/4. Now I'm going to prove this. Let's go for blue this time. And 2 1/4, so 9/4 is what it's saying. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9/4 I've coloured in. Well look, there's one whole pizza, there's another whole pizza, and there's a quarter of a pizza. So that just shows you, right, there's our 2, and then there's our quarter. Alright, hopefully that explains it to you. Yep. If not, rewind it and have another listen. Okay, you've heard my explanation. Let's have a practice. Have a look at these two. Set it out exactly as I've done it on those practice questions, the examples, sorry, and see how you get on. Pause the video now. Okay, let's see how you did. So what we're going to do, take it a step at a time. So the first one, 2/5 multiplied by 3 whole ones. 3 over 1. Hopefully that's what you've remembered to do. Turn the whole one into a fraction. Then we can multiply it by 2/5. Now if you remember, we multiply the top by each other and you multiply the bottom by each other. Yeah, so reminder. And what have we got then? So we'll end up with 2 3s are 6 and 1 5 is 5. Now we know that we can leave it as an improper fraction, but it's much better as a mixed number. 5 goes into 6 once and there's 1/5 left over we have to deal with. So 2/5 multiplied by 3 is 1 and 1/5. Hope you did okay on that, and if you went wrong somewhere, I hope you can see from the way I've modelled it where you might have gone wrong. Alright, okay, let's have a look at the next one. We've got to do something with that 4 whole ones. Let's turn it into a fraction. Okay, well 4 over 1, and then we can multiply it by our 2/7, and then remember, you don't need to keep putting this there every time, it's just me reminding you of what you need to do. The more practice you get, the quicker you'll get at doing it. Right, 2 4s are 8, 1 7 is 7. Improper fraction again, 7 goes into 8 once, and we've got 1/7 left over. How did you do? Hopefully you're picking this up now. Okay, my little minions, it's your turn to have a go. You've looked at some examples. I think it's pretty straightforward. So pencil and papers at the ready. Pause the video and have a go now for me. Okay, how did you do? Think you did okay? Well, we're about to find out. Let me get a pen. Right, so we've got half multiplied by 7. So we're going to do a half multiplied by, now that 7 goes over 1, remember, doesn't it? And then 1/7 is 7 and 2 1s are 2. We've got an improper fraction. How many times does 2 go into 7? 3 times. 3 2s are 6, and 1 more makes 7. So you should have an answer of 3.5. How did you do with that? You all right? Good, good. Even if you got to the 7/2 point, that's great. Okay, next up, 2/3, and we're multiplying that by 4. We're going to turn it into a fraction, so it'll be 4 over 1. Then we multiply, remember, just a reminder, the top and the bottom. So we've got 2 4s are 8 and 3 1s are 3. Again, improper fraction, 3 goes into 8 twice because 2 3s are 6, and what's left over? 2, and we're dealing with thirds. So it'll be 2 and 2/3. Doing okay so far? Good. Right, 3/4. We're going to multiply that by 5, but we've got to turn it into a fraction, so it'll be 5 over 1. 3 5s are 15, 4 1s are 4. Improper fraction again. Can you see all these improper fractions? Great, isn't it? Right, 4 goes into 15. How many times? Well, 3 4s are 12. 4 4s would be 16, so that's too much. So we're going with the 3 4s are 12. The difference between 12 and 15 is 3, and we're dealing in quarters, so it's 3 3/4. Brilliant. 3/5 multiplied by 3, but we need to turn it into a fraction, so it goes over 1, 3 over 1. 3 3s are 9, 5 1s are 5. Improper fraction again, 5 goes into 9 once. What's left over? The difference between 4 and 9 is 5 and 9 is 4, so we've got 4/5 left over. 2/4 multiplied by 6, turn that into a fraction, 6/1. 2 6s are 12, 4 1s are 4. How many times does 4 go into 12? Exactly 3 times. So we'll end up with a whole number rather than a mixed number. Right. Question 6. 2/3 multiplied by 8, but we need to turn 8 into a fraction. So remember, we're multiplying the top 2 and we're multiplying the bottom 2 together. So 2 8s are 16, 3 1s are 3. 3s are going to 16, well 4 3s are 12, 5 3s are 15, so it's got to be 5, and the difference between 15 and 16 is 1, so it could be 5 and 1/3. If you know where you're going wrong at this point, before we mark any more, pause the video and just have a go at the last few questions again. See if you can correct them before we carry on. Alright, for those of you who are doing okay so far, I'll carry on now. So we've got 5/6, multiplying it by 9, so it's 9/1. 5 9s are 45, and that's a big numerator. And then 6 underneath. Well, I know my 6 times table quite well. I know that 7 6s are 42. I know that 8 6s are 48. So I've got to go with 7 because 48 is too much. 7 6s are 42. I'm dealing with 6. What's the difference between 42 and 45? It's 3. Now, even though we've got a mixed number, we can still simplify that. The 7 doesn't change, but 3/6 we can simplify. What's a common factor of 3 and 6? Well, it's 3. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 twice. So we've got 7.5. Brilliant. Right, 5/8 multiplied by 4. 4 goes over 1 because we've got to turn it into a fraction. 5 4s are 20. 8 1s are 8. 8's into 20. Well, 2 8s are 16. 3 8s are 24. So it's definitely 2. How many 8s have we got left over? The difference between 16 and 20 is 4. And look, 4 and 8, we can simplify that. 2 whole ones stay the same. What goes into 4 and into 8? 4. 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 8 twice. So we've got 2.5 for the answer on that one. And next up, we've got half by 6. Well, 6 needs to turn into a fraction, so it's 6/1. 1/6 is 6. 2 1s are 2. Our answer, 2's into 6. It goes 3 times, doesn't it? So it's just straightforward 3 whole ones. And then our final one, I know that you're absolutely gutted to be on the last one. 4 8s multiplied by 7, turn it into a fraction, 7/1. 4 7s are 28, 8 1s are 8. Turn that into a mixed number. How many 8s go into 28? Well, 3 8s are 24, 5 8s are 30, so it must be... where's the rubber? I don't even know what I was going to write then. 3, start again, 3 8s are 24. The difference between 24 and 28 is 4, so we've got 3 and 4 8s, and as we've seen up here, wherever it is, there we go, question 8, we can simplify that. The 3 whole ones stay the same, and 4 goes into 4 and 4 goes into 8 twice, so 3.5 for the last one. How did you do with those? Personally, I love doing them, as you can tell, but it's okay doing loads and loads of simple, straightforward questions like that. But what I want to do is I want to try and apply it to some word problems as well, if we can. We'll have a look at those next. Okay, so I said I wanted to put it into context instead of just doing straightforward calculations. So let's look at it as some word problems. So let's have a look at this one. Dave shares 1/4 of his toy cars with his friend Sam. If he has 12 toy cars, how many toy cars does Sam get? So we would write that as 1/4 multiplied by 12. Pause the video now for a minute and have a go at solving that one for me. Okay, let's have a look. You should have written it as a quarter multiplied by 12 over 1, because we've had to turn 12 into a fraction, haven't we? So then we can, let's grab my pen, oops, there we go, multiply those two together. 1 times 12 is 12, and then 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, that's great. So then we should end up with 3 cars, because we can't have 12. The kid can't have 12 over 4 cars, can he? So we need to convert that into a mixed fraction, a mixed number, sorry. So it would be 3. All right. Okay, right. Looks like we've got some cookies into this question. Now Annie needs 3/4 cups of chocolate chips for each batch of cookies that she wanted to make. If she wanted to bake 5 batches, how many cups of chocolate chips did she need? Now how would we write this? We've got our fraction, we've got our whole number. So if we just get my highlighter, and I've got my 3/4 and I've got my 5. That's the information that we need. So let's see how we'd write it. 3/4 by 5. Okay, right. Pause the video now and work that one out for me. Right, let's have a look, see what you've done. So you should have written 3/4, and then you should have turned that 5 into a fraction. Yeah? So then you're multiplying the top and the bottom together like that. So you would have had 3 5s are 15 and 4 1s are 4. Cool. Right, what have we got? We can't have it like that, can we? Because we can't say we need 15/4 cups. Doesn't work. So we would have 4 goes into 15 3 times, doesn't it? 3 4s are 12. And the difference between 12 and 15 is what? 3. So you would have 3. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. And there's your 3/4 of a cup. Okay? If you got that, well done. Okay, young gentleman here, let's see what he's going to be, what question relating to him. And we've got 1/3 of the children in the Smith family are boys. If there are 12 children in the whole family, how many of them are boys? Let's have a look, shall we? How would we write that? First of all, I need to find the information that I want. Let's go for our highlighter pen, and we want 1/3, and we've got 12 of them. So how are you going to write that as a question? You're going to write it as 1/3 multiplied by 12. So pause the video now and have a go at this one. Okay, let's see how you've done then. Let's grab a pen, and we're going to do 1/3, and we're going to multiply that by 12, which you've turned into a fraction, so it'll be 12 over 1. 1/12 is 12, and 3 1s are 3. Well, we can't have 12/3 of the family of boys, can we? So we need to turn that into a mixed number. 3 goes into 12 how many times? 4 times. We can't really have a fraction for the answer of this one, because we can't have a 1/4 of a boy or a 1/3 of a boy, can we? You can only tend to get boys in whole amounts. If you got that, well done. Okay, Izzy swam 2/8 of a mile every day for 6 days. How many miles did she swim in all? Right, you're getting the hang of it now, so I'm not going to highlight the information that you need from the question. Away you go. Okay, you should have had it written down as 2/8 multiplied by 6, and then we can 2/8 multiplied by 6. We've turned the 6 into a fraction, 6/1. 2 6s are 12. 8 multiplied by 1 is 8, and then 8 goes into 12 once. What's left over? That's right, we've got 4. Oops, doesn't want to write 4 8s. We can't leave it at that though, can we? Because we know that we can simplify 4 8s. What goes into 4 and 8? 4 does. 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 8 twice. So she did 1.5 miles. All right, well done. Okay guys, right, on this question we've got Mr. Allport ordered enough pizza for all 6 people in his family to have 3 slices. If the pizzas are cut into 8 pieces, how many pizzas will his family eat? Right, how many pizzas will his family eat? Don't forget, you can't buy part of a pizza. I'm buying them whole. Now the thing is, we've got 3 lots of information here. We've got 6, we've got 3, and we've got 8. Well, think of it as there's the pizza's cut into 8 pieces and enough for 3 slices each. Right, so that's where the fraction part of it comes in, and then the 6 people. So how are we going to write that? Just have a think. How's it going to be written? That's right, we're going to write it as 3/8 multiplied by 6. So away you go, have a go at that one. Okay, let's see what you've got. We've got 3/8 multiplied by 6. Alright, but we've got to turn that 6 into a fraction, so we do 6/1. We can now do 3 6s are 18, 8 1s are 8. We need to turn that into a mixed number because we don't buy 18/8 pizza. How many times did 8 go into 18? Twice, because 2 8s are 16 and there's 2 left over. We can simplify that. The 2 stays the same, doesn't it? But what goes into 2 and 8? Well, 2 does. 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 8 4 times. So 2 1/4. We're going to eat 2 1/4 pizzas, but we can't buy pizzas in quarters, right? I've just been down to the supermarket and bought 3 whole pizzas, so I'm going to use 3 pizzas. And I wonder what's happening to that other 3/4. Perhaps I'll have them for breakfast in the morning. What do you think? Well done everybody. Good maths today. I'm really pleased with how well we're doing with fraction work. We now know how to add, subtract and multiply fractions by whole numbers. Well done. So we've been able to multiply a fraction by a whole number. We've had to represent our answer in a simplified form or a mixed number where appropriate. Sometimes we've had to simplify the mixed number. Right, so I think we can safely say we've definitely looked at today's targets, which was multiplying a fraction by a whole number. So a little bit of self-assessment now. Are you happy with what you've done? Did you understand it? Did you understand why we turn the whole number into a fraction? If you're not too sure, put yourself a sort of halfway there face, and maybe if you're not quite there and you need to go over it again, you can put that heavy thinking kind of face on. And don't forget, if you're happy with what you've done, you're proud of your work, get it sent into school. Take a photograph if you're at home, send it on the WhatsApp. Want to email it to us? Send it in onto the Year 6's email address, not to your teacher's one. Or if you make sure you put your name on it, pop it into the post box and we'll have a look when it's sent into school. Okay, well done today kids. See you next lesson.